the one issue with going to the New York International Toy Fair was trying to get in because they don't allow anyone under 18 to get in, and so we had many tears shed and many emails to the Toy Association to get in on a shift basis.
Welcome to the OVF Podcast. We got a special group with us today. I'm going to ask you all to introduce yourselves and the role that you played in this fabulous product.
So I'm Emma, and I'm on the marketing team of our company.
Awesome.
I'm Brad Sparks, and I'm on the art and marketing team.
Okay.
I'm Ari Ramanidi. I'm on the 3D modeling team.
And I'm Katie Sparks, and I'm on the marketing team.
Well, you guys had a pretty exciting spring, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. We did,
Well, you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So we just completed our Kickstarter in late June, and we actually raised over $1,000 over our goal. And now we've been working super hard at getting our product ready to be produced and to be on sale in October.
Okay, that's awesome. So everything's on track then.
Mm-hmm.
Kickstarter was your funding source?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So October is when it's going to go to market.
Yes, sir.
It'll be in stores.
You guys had to do something in New York, didn't you?
Yes.
We actually went to the New York International Toy Fair, and it was February of last year, or this year, but yes. And we actually got to meet so many people, but the one issue with going to the New York International Toy Fair was trying to get in because they don't allow anyone under 18 to get in, and so we had many tears shed and many emails to the Toy Association to get in on a shift basis.
But you prevailed.
Yes.
Yes.
We did.
That's
and we
awesome.
actually had a pretty awesome concluding story to our visit to the toy fair.
So yeah, we had meetings every night after hours there. So one time the toy fair came, one of their toy fair people who pretty much run the thing, they come over there and ask us like, why are you here? It's after hours, you're not supposed to be here. So then the next day they asked if they could give us a presentation.
Oh, no kidding.
So they did, and we walked out of the toy fair with t-shirts and a promise that they would change the age regulations.
Awesome. Terrific. Well, that's a real success besides the product success for y'all. Should be very proud of that. So what are you going to tell this crowd today?
Pretty much our story.
Okay. That's
Yes,
awesome.
Definitely want to share how we want to contribute to the technology and business community in Oklahoma.
Yeah, terrific. You'll find welcome ears for that message here for sure. And I think this may be, I'll go out on a limb and say this is the youngest entrepreneur group that's presented to this forum. So congratulations on your successes. We look forward to hearing your presentation today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, great to see everybody. Just a spoiler alert, the OVF journalist and writer Lori Williams, she wrote a piece on WristWorld and Loveworks, and she mentioned that you're going to get the opportunity to hear from OVF's youngest presenter. Spoiler alert, that's not me. They will be coming up, though, in just a few short minutes. There is a question that I love to ask any audience that I get the opportunity to speak in front of as pertains to what I do for a living, which at cocktail parties is interesting to say. But I want you to imagine that next to your table is a time capsule. And I want you to imagine yourself getting inside this time capsule and going back and reliving a period of time in your life. Any period of time that you would like to. I'd like you to think about that moment and that period of time. And I want to ask you, by chance, did anyone here want to go back and relive middle school? If that's you, raise your hand nice and high. I don't see a single hand raised in the audience. I typically don't. The only hands that I see raised are usually sarcastic ones. And when I mention middle school or the thought of middle school, sometimes I even get dirty looks from the audience and guests. I'm sure that just the word middle school, and no offense students, might conjure up some descriptive words. I would ask this afternoon that we do keep it PG, but there might be words. Just think back about middle school and reliving middle school, and what would be a few words that you would potentially think about using to describe those wonderful years? I'll take a guess. You might be thinking of the word weird, challenging, hard, awkward, confusing, extremely hormonal. You might be familiar with Charles Dickens, and he wrote a story called The Tale of Two Cities. And I'd like to share with you two stories of two students on very different sides of the spectrum that may paint a picture for you about our organization. And all of this, again, started 8 years ago out of creating just an after-school leadership opportunity that students would be a part of twice a week. Remember what I said, in an environment of unconditional love and surrounding them with the right people. At the age of 11 years old, I met, she was 11 years old, I met Kiana, and she walked through our campus doors on the east side of Norman. We have about a 13,000 square foot facility, and I'll never forget Kiana because I only usually saw the top of her head. She often walked with her head down towards the floor, and over time I learned through her grandmother, who would often pick her up after school, about her situation. And I'm sure that you've heard many situations like this, but at the age of 11 years old, her parents, both of her parents, were imprisoned at the same time. So if you're doing the math, for 5 years, like, Kiana did not even have a real meaningful memory from anyone in her household, from a biological mom or her dad. And I'll never forget one day that I received a tap on my shoulder, and I look behind me, and it's Kiana. And I was just kind of like taken back because, one, Kiana had never approached me in a conversation, let alone even look towards my face to make eye contact. And she said this to me, she said, Mr. Michael, I think I found my passion. She said, I don't know if it's really a good one, but I think that I found it. And I said, well, tell me, what is your passion? And she said, it's helping people. I found that helping people has made me happy. And not many months later, Kiana found herself working with a team of students, and they became advocates in our community and for Oklahoma City. And we worked with the Oklahoma City Public Schools, and our students collected 1,500 shoeboxes with hygiene items in them, and they distributed those shoeboxes the week of Valentine's Day to those particular students. And she found herself smiling in front of a photographer, and the very next day we saw on the front cover of the Oklahoman a picture of Kiana distributing these boxes. Now, I don't know if Kiana will ever go on to receive another headline like that or be interviewed, but I do really believe that Kiana's trajectory of her life has been influenced and changed, and she is definitely going to go out and change the world around her.